Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another 10 p.m. And hi, my name is BK. And if you're friends, obviously you know that. And welcome to the Better Man Show. So, those of you who have caught me before, you know that we started with no titles, then we changed to another title, which was we call it the 10 p.m. show, right? 10 p.m. with BK. But now, uh, to keep it, to give it a bit more thematic focus, it's now called the Better Man Show because hopefully this live stream can help to bring everyone it helps me to become a better person, and hopefully I can share some things that can help. I'll share a little bit about that as well later on, because when we share, we make everyone better in a very, very big way. So before we go on, just a few things. So for example, I'm actually now testing live streaming to more than YouTube, Facebook. I'm also live streaming to other platforms, but if you are seeing this from another platform, do follow me on Facebook. Just add me as a friend, don't be a stranger. I'll be happy to add you back. And of course, if you're looking at, you're watching this from another platform, do drop a comment and tell me what platform you're on. I'm actually testing it on several platforms at this moment. It's a Friday night. Thank you for joining me. I know, well, of course, on a normal day and normal time of the year or normal time of the century, we'll probably be out with friends and so on. But I guess things are a little bit different this year, which is why I titled today's show the title that I've given it. So we'll talk about that in a bit. But one last thing, which is good for the soul, is this. Day number 32 of a 100-day challenge. So exactly 32 days ago, I started a 100-day live stream challenge for myself. In fact, this morning, a friend of mine asked me, so what day are you on again? Kind of like, it was a good question to ask, right? So I just told my friend, yeah, I'm on day 32, and it's been exciting. It's been challenging. Like I said, from day one, the challenge would always be, I think, content, and what to say and what to share in the live stream, because this is not it's not like a company live stream. It's not like a product live stream where people have very specific intentions, right? I mean, if it's a company, then obviously you're trying to promote your company and so on. But this was more like a personal challenge in the area of discipline. And I was inspired by this guy called Andy Frisella, and I've said it many times. Go and check him out, please. 75 Hard is a wonderful, wonderful, interesting challenge that he has. But I have kind of adapted it a little bit. Now, I can't call it that challenge because he specifically says you cannot adapt it, but I was inspired by him. I was inspired by what he was doing, and this is the result of this inspiration. So 100 days. So I'm now on day number 32. Day number 32 of a 100-day challenge. So 1/3 of the way there, almost 1/3 of the way there. So tonight, I just want to very quickly touch on, and actually over the course of these 30-something days, I have discovered certain things about myself. And that's why I also encourage you, if you are thinking about something like this, go for it. You know, you never know what you can grow from. I mean, what you can learn from it as well. What I've discovered is what I truly want to, what are some of the passions in my life, what are some of the things I really like doing. And also, like, there was another episode I talked about the 3 things that I would like to be remembered for at the end of my days, right? So that's one. And tonight I'm going to talk about one of my favorite subject matters to talk about. So today's episode or today's live stream is about how to have your best year ever. Yes, even this year. And the answer is very, very closely tied to one of my favorite subjects of all time now, which is personal development. And as I said in the title as well, don't leave your future to chance. Don't leave your family's future to chance, right? The interesting thing is that what is happening now in the world today is happening to everyone. It's happening to everyone, right? So we shouldn't take it passively. We should be more active in trying to ensure that we come out of this stronger, right? So how to have your best year ever, even this year, the answer for me, I feel, is really to start to look at personal development. Now, I share this with a very strong passion because 3 years ago, I mean, I literally had to borrow money from a friend to be able to get back home, to be able to fly back to Singapore, right? But 3 years later, I am now coaching six-figure income earners, helping to coach six-figure income earners. Now, so how that happened, I would say that the only single thing that truly happened is because I started to pay very strong attention to this thing called personal development. So, in fact, the title of today's show is from one of my favorite mentors and author and speakers, Jim Rohn. Right? If you have not heard him before, please go and check him out. You will learn a lot from a lot of his teachings and a lot of his audibles. And one of the ones that I really like is one titled "How to Have Your Best Year Ever." Please go and check it out. Now, I'm going to share some of the things I picked up today from that particular audible, but I would strongly suggest that you do it and you go and check it out for yourself. Right? So I'm going to talk about five aspects or five abilities we should pick up if you are very serious about personal development. So the first one he talks about is on your quest to personal development. First one he talks about is be a sponge and absorb everything. Be present and be able to absorb every single thing. Sometimes we talked about this yesterday as well. Sometimes, a lot of times, we are just trying to get through the day. But what he says is try to get from the day, in fact. Try to get from the day and not just get through the day. So wherever we are, be present and be like a sponge, absorb the sights and the sounds and the experiences because they will help to grow you as a person. So part of personal development is being present, being there, right? I remember a time when I was in Hong Kong and I was walking down the streets of Hong Kong, and I think this is the modern day problem. So not sure whether you are familiar with Hong Kong. I mean, those of you go shopping in Hong Kong, you probably know there's this place called Times Square, right? And I was just walking there, and then there was this really good looking guy, okay, and he had a really good looking girlfriend. I think they're girlfriends. Both of them were very well dressed. They were holding hands, walking down the streets, and definitely was eye catching, right? I mean, you would have caught the attention of everyone when they walk past you and walk down the street. But what I noticed was not that. What I noticed was that they were both holding hands. They were walking down the street, and the guy had a phone in his hand, and he was looking at his phone. And the girl had a phone in her hand, and she was looking at the phone. And both of them were just walking down the streets. And while they were holding hands, they were connected but not connected. And today I find that this is something you probably observe all the time. When we are with family sometimes, and even with friends, we are not really there when we should be there. So this is something that we should probably start doing as well. So give the person the best gift of all, which is the attention that they deserve. I think most of us have this problem nowadays because we are so addicted to our phones that when we are in a meeting with someone and we are constantly checking the phone, and when the person is talking, we are replying messages. I guess in light of what Jim Rohn is saying here, first ability to do is to absorb everything. Then we won't be able to absorb everything because whatever the person is saying, no matter how we think we can multitask, honestly, we cannot. And we'll be missing out on what the other person is saying, even though we think, yeah, I'm listening to you. Have you heard this before? They say, I'm listening to you, and then they are replying somebody. So I guess that's a habit that we should and ought to change. These days, I try to make it a point when I'm with someone, the phone is kept in the bag or kept somewhere, because I think it is a form of respect to the other person. And of course, like what I just listened to Jim Rohn today, is that then I am fully present and I'm fully able to absorb everything that the person is saying, and obviously it might say something that can benefit me and help me in my growth, right? So don't be too casual about relationships. Don't be too casual about how we treat other people, because casualness leads to casualties, right? That's what he said. So that's one of the first ability that we should pick up on our quest to personal development, right? Uh, I'm really quite in love with this topic nowadays because it has changed my life, and hopefully I can share some of this enthusiasm with you, and hopefully that can rub off, and hopefully you can also start to perhaps explore it, right? Now, the second thing he kind of spoke about today as a second ability to develop is the ability to respond to everything, right? So in this respect, I'm quite happy that it actually resonates quite well with me. It's basically letting life letting life touch you, letting the emotions strike you. So for example, I'm probably one of the best people to bring to a movie theater, and he said the same thing as well, because I love all kinds of movies, make me laugh, make me cry, scare me witless, I love horror movies as well. So just don't leave me the way I was before the same way as I entered it, right? So I will respond to all this emotional stimulus at any time, right? And in fact, I kind of remember a story of one of my good friends from school, primary school. He probably started me on this this thing about movies as well, and I must thank him for that. So I remember when I didn't come from a well-to-do family, so obviously didn't have the chance to go to movies when we were very young, right? But what happened was when I was in P4, primary 4, right? A good primary school mate of mine invited me to his place. I said, hey, come over to my place. I got this video cassette. Those of you who are younger, you may not know this video cassette of Star Wars, the movie. So I heard about it. I said, oh, okay. So I went to his place, right? So excited. And I'm not sure whether you have, those of you who are too young to remember, but those of us who went through this era, big cassette tape, right? You slide it in, and there's always this very loud plastic against metal sound that go in, and then you start to see the spool of the wheels turning, and then you rewind if it's not rewound properly, and then you rewind the tape, and then you press start. And when you press start, there's always a bit of cackle and sound coming from the speakers, because it's not like the clear, crisp audio that we hear from CDs these days. In those days, because it's tape, there's a bit of there's a bit of analog feel to it, right? So then the movie started. The movie started for Star Wars. Now, what was very interesting for me then was, as the movie started, the typical Star Wars opening where the credits were flying up, right, away from screen and flying up in this manner. Even though I have not seen the movie before, and that was like the first time I was watching it, and I'm not too old, I was like 9 or 10 that time. It says episode 4. And I distinctly remember my friend telling me that, hey, come and watch the first Star Wars movie at my place, And I was just thinking in myself, I said, hey, not so good, Why did you not show me episode 1, 2, and 3? Why did we start with episode 4? Right? But that was actually still the first of the first trilogy, which was the way that I later on learned that was how the director learned in life, right? Learned in life that was how it was intended. So Star Wars, the entire whole series started with episode 4, 5, and 6. That was the main central story. And then there was a prequel, which is episode 1, 2, and 3. And then the sequel, which is episode 7, 8, and 9. So that started me on this journey where, and I think we have waited almost 40 years to finish this entire thing. So respond to life, respond to the things around you, and because it helps you to grow. And I think this journey of even though it was started when I was like very young until now, right, it's been a fascinating journey, because even the sheer idea that that someone had the foresight or the planning, the kind of the scope of planning to plan something that is episode 4, 5, and 6 first, then 1, 2, and 3, and then 7, 8, 9. And this whole thing took 40 years, right, to complete. Now, the question to ask, I mean, when I think about this, when I respond to this, and my challenge to you is the same. Do we even plan our lives the way that George Lucas did for Star Wars, right? Do we have an end game? Do we have an end goal? Do we have a 40-year plan for our lives, right? If we do, I think we will be happy where we are in 40 years' time. So this is the second attribute that you should learn, which is learn to respond to things around you and let it inspire you, right? So the first ability is to absorb everything, and the second ability is to respond to things around that you encounter. The third ability is actually very interesting, and I kind of talked about it a bit as well. So which is he says learn the ability to reflect. So starting a journal, and I've just started, right? In fact, sometimes when I'm preparing for these live streams, I'm also looking at my journals and I'm doing personal reflection. So the journals help us to take stock of the days, right? So like the idea just now, don't just get through the day, get from the day. And this is one of the best ways to do it, because every single day is kind of like the mosaic of your life, and you put them all together, then that becomes your life. So while one day might seem insignificant, but in the grand scheme of things, it is important. And it's like, those pictures where people use a mosaic tiles to create a nice big picture. That's life. That's our life, right? So he gave a few tips that I find very interesting. So spend a few minutes at the end of each day to reflect and to get from the day. That's a day. Then at the end of the week, which is a good chunk of time, spend a few hours to look over the week and get from the week. And at the end of the month, spend half a day to go over what has happened in the month. And last but not least, at the end of the year, spend an entire weekend to go over and reflect on the year. Now, I wish I heard this advice a long time ago, because if we had done this, I think we would be able to. The concept is quite fascinating, where we gather from the past so that we can invest in the future. So if we take a few minutes each day, a few hours each week, half a day each at the end of the month, and a weekend, or maybe even a week at the end of the year to reflect, we can then learn from the year and then bring it on to the next year, so that we don't make the same mistakes that we did, or we can improve on the things that we have done, right? So in light of what's happening this year, I think we even more so we need to do this, because then it can help us to have the best year ever in spite of the year, right? Fourth ability that he talks about today is the ability to act. This is something that I'm pretty sure you have encountered it before. And this is called the law of diminishing intent. So let's say like now, when I mention a certain book and something inside you stirs and says that, that sounds like an interesting audible, which is how to have your best year ever, right? How to have your best year ever. So something inside you says, let's go and check it out. Now, act on that. Act on it. Don't wait. Act on it. Go to audible.com and find the title, Jim Rohn, How to Have Your Best Year Ever, right? And pick it up. Act when the idea is hot, when the emotions are strong. Because if you don't, and then you wait until the end of this live stream, and then you are distracted by the next TV program, you're distracted by another thing that happens, and then pretty soon that feeling, that intention of, I should check out that audible that BK is saying, goes away, right? That is the sad thing about Sometimes we come across something and then we say, hey, yeah, that's an interesting book that the author mentioned. I should check it out. But after that, we forget about it. And when we forget, we totally forget. And we don't even remember it anymore. So when you have an idea and you decide on something, especially these days, I mean, we have all these devices in our hands nowadays. I mean, you literally can order it now, right? If you want to. So just going online and ordering it now, right? But maybe some of you are thinking, but BK just said be present, so I should be listening to him now. I'm just kidding. Yeah, but act on it. If you once you have a certain inspiration, certain tug in your heart, right? Just do it. Like you know what I do is, whenever I watch a inspirational like presentation or somebody's teaching something and the speaker is somebody I respect, mentions a certain book that he has read and has helped him. Guess what I'm doing next? I'm buying the book first, right? Now, I may not get to it right away, but at least I have made that emotional commitment to buy it, whether is it as a book form or as an audible form, I get it first, right? And then because I'm always looking at my audible books and also my Kindles, I will, I remember this book, I wanted to read it, and then I get to it. But if I didn't act during that moment, what would have happened most likely is I would have forgotten about the title and I would have not picked it up at all, right? So act quickly, right? When the emotions are hot, right? Last but not least, and I think this has always resonated with me, the last ability in your quest for personal development is develop the ability to share, right? Because when somebody shares, everybody wins. When somebody shares, everybody wins now. So I've always learned that when I share something or when I teach something, right? This is not really teaching, it's just sharing. It's sharing my thoughts and my opinion and my feelings and my reflections. But when I share it with 10 friends, right? They would have listened to it once, but I would have listened to myself 10 times. Guess who learns it better? I would have learned it better. And even now, because of preparation for these live streams, and I take down notes and I do reflection and I try and deliver something that hopefully is of value to any of you who is listening in or watching. I am actually sharing to you, but I'm sharing to myself again, and I'm learning. And I have a habit as well of going over the recording, because the live stream platforms, they auto archive for you, because I kind of like to go over it and then like see where I have said good things or where I've done well and where I can improve for another live stream, right? So that means I actually learned it 3 times. Once when I was preparing the notes. The second time is when I'm doing this live now with you, right? For you. And the last time is when I review it and try to see where I can improve and so on. So while you may have listened to me once, I have actually done it 3 times. And I would have grown for myself, right? So develop the ability to share. And of course, the best idea about this, and I've always said this I've said it a few times, even in this 100 days challenge, right? Every one of us has some things that we share that would actually benefit another person. Because, I have said from the get-go, I'm not a guru of any kind. I don't claim to be, right? But in spite of that, there have been friends or audience who have listened and then send me private messages and say, hey, thank you for what you said that day, and that has helped me, right? So don't wait for you to become a guru, a Tony Robbins, a Jim Rohn, or a Dennis Waitley, or Gary Vaynerchuk before you start to share your wisdom, before you share the things you know, because it will definitely benefit someone out there. There is someone for your message. So these are the 5 things that 5 abilities. So let me just recap very quickly. The first ability to pick up is absorb everything, right? Respond to things, respond to life. Number 3 is reflect use a journal if you can, right? And I really like the few things that he said, a few minutes a day, a few hours at the end of the week, half a day at the end of the month, and maybe a weekend at the end of the year, right? So that you can invest, you can harvest, gather from the past to invest in the future. Number 4 is act while your emotions are hot, while your intentions are there, right? Don't miss the chance. And last but not least, learn to share. Learn to share. So I thank you for being live or watching the replay. I thank every one of you for your comments and your kind words. And most importantly, I do sincerely hope that sometimes some of the things I say, I know sometimes it's nonsense, sometimes it's babble, sometimes it's psychobabble, sometimes it's not really anything of substance in that sense. But some of these things hopefully has helped you in some way, right? Some of these things hopefully has helped you in some way. So sorry, I just checked the messages just now. So Juliana was saying that about our inability to multitask. I was thinking exactly the same thing. Yeah, it's true. So give the person the gift of attention, especially in today's day and age. You know, we are always surrounded by gadgets. Put it aside for the short time and pay attention to the other person. That's always the best. That's always the best. And I think if we learn to do that, the other person will start to appreciate us more and understand that, and then we can grow that human connection, because then they know that, okay, this is a person who respects my time and who respects my presence. And that is a wonderful gift that we cannot ignore. Right? Thanks, Juliana, for this comment. They do say that women can multitask better than men, but I beg to disagree. I say the whole human race cannot multitask, or shouldn't try to multitask. Give the person the gift of your attention. So with that ends day number 32 of a 100-day challenge. It's been fun, and it's going to be fun, and I am learning more and more every day from myself, from the comments, from feedback. And also because as I try to gather content for this, it also has helped me grow in many ways. I invite you to join me as a guest, or so you can get your feet wet to try and do this on your own, for your own live streams if you want to. I'm happy to kind of to have you as a guest, you know, and then you can go on and do your own show if you want, right? And don't be shy about it, right? So just send me a text or send me a message and say, hey, BK, I'll be happy to hop on. Can be anything under the sun, right? So like I said, this is quite an open show, as long as it helps people become the better person, right? This is the Better Man Show. Good night. Happy Friday, happy weekend. The show goes on tomorrow still, you know, there's no break. There's no break. So I'll see you over the weekend.